You ever look at a huge, crazy, successful company and wonder how they did it? Was it just pure luck, a random break? Or was there something more deliberate going on behind the scenes? Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain on that something more. Let's get into it.
So let me ask you this. How do you take on a giant? I mean, a real titan of an industry, a company so dominant they seem absolutely invincible. How do you even start to compete with that? It's a question that has defined some of the greatest business stories ever told.
And if you wanted a perfect example, you just have to rewind to the 1980s and look at the US luxury car market. You had two choices basically. BMW, which screamed sophisticated engineering, and Mercedes-Benz, which was all about social status. They didn't just have a piece of the market, they were the market. Their brand loyalty was insane, and everyone just kind of agreed this market is locked up.
But then, someone decided to challenge that. And you might be surprised who it was. Toyota. Yep, the company known for making your reliable, affordable, let's be honest, kind of boring family car. They decided to launch a direct competitor called Lexus, and against all odds, it worked. So how'd they do it? Well, they had a secret weapon.
And that secret weapon was strategy. Now I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but we're not just talking about a vague plan. We're talking about a deep, analytical, multi-layered way of thinking about competition. And in this explainer, we're going to tear it all down so you can see exactly how it works.
The word itself actually has pretty cool roots. It comes from the ancient Greek word strategia, which literally meant the office of a general. So right from the beginning, it's tied to warfare, to the art of outthinking and outmaneuvering your opponent, not just trying to overpower them with brute force. It's about brains, not just brawn.
And this core idea, it's been evolving for thousands of years. You go way back to Sun Tzu, who is basically saying, look, you got to know what you're good at, and you got to know what your enemy is good at. Then you jump forward to military theorists like Clausewitz, who talked about focusing all your strength on one decisive point. Then you get to the 20th century, and it's all about innovation being the ultimate weapon. And today? Well, today it's practically a science.
You know, the legendary management consultant Peter Drucker absolutely nailed it. He said that any business really only has two basic functions that produce results: marketing and innovation. Everything else, accounting, operations, you name it, is a cost. And strategy? Strategy is the master plan that guides both marketing and innovation. So, how does this actually work in practice? Well, just like that general from ancient Greece, the very first step is to get a lay of the land. You have to survey the battlefield. In business, we call this external analysis.
And what's really powerful about modern strategy is how it simplifies things. I mean, the business world is incredibly complex, right? But this approach boils it all down to analyzing just two key areas: the external environment, that's everything happening outside your company, and the internal situation, everything happening inside.
Let's stick with that military analogy, because it's perfect. The external environment, that's your battlefield. It's where you're going to find all your opportunities, but it's also where all the threats are lurking. The internal situation, that's your army. It's an honest look at your strengths and your weaknesses. A winning strategy is when you match your army's greatest strength to the battlefield's biggest opportunity. It's that simple.
So when you're looking at that battlefield, strategists often use a simple tool to make sure they don't miss anything. It's called PEST analysis, P-E-S-T. It stands for political, economic, social, and technological. Think of these as the big, powerful currents that are shaping the entire industry. You can't control them, but you absolutely have to know which way they're flowing.
Let's just touch on a couple of these. Political analysis is all about the rules of the game set by governments. Are new regulations coming? New tariffs? Is it becoming easier or harder to do what you do? This is where a lot of hidden opportunities and threats can pop up.
Then you've got economic analysis. This is all about people's wallets. How much money do they have to spend? Is inflation eating up their paychecks? When people feel wealthier, for example, the demand for things like luxury cars tends to go way up. Understanding these shifts helps you see what's coming around the corner. Okay, so once you have surveyed the battlefield, the next step is to turn the binoculars around and look at your own army. This is internal analysis, and it requires being brutally honest with yourself about what you see. Now, your army's resources fall into two buckets. First, there are the tangible ones, the stuff you can touch and count: your buildings, your equipment, your employees. But often, the real game changers are the intangible resources, things like your brand's reputation, your secret technological know-how, your relationship with your customers. Why are these so important? Because they are way, way harder for your competitors to copy. It's not just about what you have, it's about what you know.
So ultimately, this whole internal analysis thing forces you to ask some really tough questions. Are we actually set up for success? Do we have the right skills, the right tools, the right products? Do we really have what it takes to win?
All right, theory's over. Let's bring this all back to our original story. How did Toyota use this exact two-part analysis, battlefield and army, to take on the German giants with Lexus?
Well, it's actually a textbook case. First, their external analysis of the battlefield found a big opportunity. BMW and Mercedes weren't just expensive, they also had very specific, almost narrow images. Then, their internal analysis of their army confirmed a massive strength. Toyota was one of the best in the world at high-quality, efficient manufacturing. So all they had to do was connect the dots. They combined their internal strength with that external opportunity, and bam, there was their strategy.
And just look at how perfectly all the pieces of their plan worked together. The product? A world-class luxury car that played right into their manufacturing strength. The price? Just a bit lower than the Germans, enough to make a skeptical buyer think, maybe I should give it a try. The place? Completely new, fancy showrooms to create a luxury feel that was totally separate from the Toyota brand. And the promotion? A massive ad blitz to announce that a new definition of luxury was here. Every single piece supported the others. That is a brilliant integrated strategy.
This idea of strategic focus isn't just for cars. It works everywhere. I mean, think about Walmart. From the very beginning, their strategy was simple and crystal clear. Everyday low prices. That's it. Every single decision they made, from their supply chain to their marketing, was designed to serve that one goal. And the result? They became the biggest retailer on the planet. On the flip side, a lack of focus can be absolutely deadly. Look at what happened to Sears. Back in the 80s, they were a titan, but they completely lost their strategic focus. They started selling real estate and financial services. They tried to be a high-end department store and a cheap discount store at the same time. By trying to be everything to everyone, they ended up losing their identity and becoming nothing to anyone.
This shows you something critical. Strategy isn't just one big decision made in a boardroom. It's a cascade that has to be aligned at every single level of a company. It starts with the big corporate strategy. What businesses are we even in? That then informs the business strategy. How are we going to compete in this particular market? And that, in turn, dictates the marketing strategy. How are we going to sell this specific product? If those links are broken, the whole thing just falls apart.
The famous strategist Michael Porter probably said it best. He said that strategy is really about making trade-offs. It's just as much about deciding what not to do as it is about what to do. Sears couldn't make those hard choices. Toyota and Walmart made them brilliantly. And that right there is the heart of strategy, making deliberate choices based on a clear-eyed view of your army and your battlefield.
So I'll just leave you with this one thought. As you look around at the dominant companies today, the ones that seem just as unbeatable now as BMW and Mercedes did back in the 80s, ask yourself, what's the opportunity they're missing? What weakness have they overlooked? And who's out there right now, quietly doing their analysis and building a secret weapon of their very own?